Well, hello everyone and welcome to our webinar today. Of course, I am Fiona Blayney, your host here. On behalf of myself and realestate.com.au, I'd like to wish you an awesome day and thank you for joining us here on this live webinar where we are going to be talking about presenting your best self. Now, when we're talking about presenting your best self, what do you need to be geared up for? What do you need to be thinking about? And how can you get the most out of this session for right now in your business, as well as we start to move forward into the months ahead, building that strategy for that all-important element of everyone's business success, and that is growth. Well, I'd love you to do one thing for me as we kick off. Let's jump in the chat box. We've got people online live from all around the country. I'd love to know, when it comes to growth, what do you want to know? You've turned up today, whether or not you were part of our previous session within these series about efficiencies, which you can catch now on replay right there over in the Agent Marketing Centre. Or this is your first session and you have invested your time in order to find out the answer to a burning question, overcome a certain challenge or obstacle in your business, or you just want a little bit of input on something new, jump into the chat box right now and let me know what that is. You'll see there across in your Zoom chat, you'll have access there. You can, of course, you can comment directly just to me. So flick that chat onto private, or alternatively, if you have something that you're happy to share with the group, let's jump in and add that there as well. Guys, I'd love to know who you are and where you are coming from too, so we can curate some of this content to be specifically around your location, state, territory, geographical area. Maybe growth is something that you're harboring an intense desire for at the moment, but you've got a bit of a ceiling there and you're not really sure how to break through it. Perhaps growth is new. You might be at full momentum and you're like, where do we go next? How do we get more? How do we do more? Let's jump into that chat box and let me know how we're going. Oh, I've got some familiar faces online there again. Larissa, how you doing? The friends up in Newcastle. Hobart, ooh, I had my nephew up from Hobart actually just last week. What a beautiful spot of the world that is. We've got Western Australia, so East Coast, West Coast. Oh, hey, Catherine, over in Edgecliff. Central Coast, we've got beachside, city side, regional, coastal. Wow, guys, this is an awesome turnout for today. Dylan wants to build an online solid digital presence. How can we do that? Oh, Dylan, you are definitely in the right session today, 150%. You know, digital it's such an important place. Of course, we've got that physical elements, which we'll talk to today in some capacity. We've got our capital city in line today. Oh, lots of people. And we've got the digital space and the physical space. And how do we bring those two things together? Dylan, I got you covered in today's session. All right, straight into the content. We're going to go. Keep those questions coming through. What is it you're looking for? And at the end, I'm going to give you a little bit of time for some Q&A as well. So keep those note-taking going on the side. And of course, after this session ends, I'll give you all of my contact details so that you're able to get in contact with us directly if there's something of nuance that you want to speak about offline. Guys, presenting your best self. Well, as part of this entire series, one of the things that we have been looking at here is, of course, how do you create that best presence? I know that when we're talking about presence in our businesses online, part of the challenge that we've got, excuse me, it's not working for me today, is that we keep making growth harder, right? We keep doing it. Just like I said last week, you know, or a couple of weeks ago when we did our previous efficiency session, you know, we're making doing business harder. Well, I feel that around the country, we make doing growth harder, right? When you know what, it can actually be easier. So how do we do those things? Well, my first comment to you is, I want you to write this one down straight away, is business is right in front of me, right? It's right in front of me. When I go into offices all around the country, and of course with the consulting work that we do offshore as well, is that I'm constantly hearing from businesses around what's my strategy, right? And when they're looking at strategy, they keep going outside the business and they're going out into this big wide ether of the world and attempting to try and corral people to talk to them when, you know what, guys, there's business sitting right in front of you. We need to do some tweaks. We've got to do some improvements so that we can make sure that when we're getting that business, you know, we're moving the fruit from way up on top of the tree, right, down lower and making it far easier to pick, right? We're talking about low-hanging fruit, an analogy that has been used for years, you know, all across all elements of sales style businesses, of growth, of customer attraction. You know, it's about how can we not just pick all the fruit, how can we get the low fruit, but how can we get the fruit that's at the top of the tree to migrate on its own right down to the bottom so that you can just reach out and pick it? Well, a big part of that is around how you set yourself up. How are you perceived? What do people think of you before you even know that they are thinking of you? When we're talking about this, I'm going to be working you through 5 Ps today. The first P, because we've got a lot of area to cover, right? When we go through this low-hanging fruit, we've got a whole tree to look at, right? Is that I'm going to take you through a process. We're going to start, as you just saw, we're going to start with positioning, and then I'm going to take you through elements of the growth model all the way through to getting that final signature, securing the management, and then you can move them into that onboarding stage and hopefully getting some glowing referrals, reviews, and testimonials to start the whole process again, right? So it all starts with you. It starts with you. It starts with your positioning. It starts with, what do people think? What does your marketplace think? What does your consumer think when they think real estate in your area? What's the light bubble moment? Who do they think of? What agencies do they think of? What brands, what people, who would they innately call? If they were at a barbecue, if they were at a social function, if they were talking a friend or family member, a neighbour in the street, someone at the local school, and they asked, oh, who would you use as your property management professional? Who would you use as your estate agent? What do you think of that Ray White office, Rain and Horn, ABC, Richardson and Wrench, Stone, Woodards? What do they think when they hear that brand name? What and how have you and are you positioning yourself? Now, here's the sad thing, guys. That consumer already has a picture in their mind, like an incredible artist who can draw from memory, not me, by the way. But when I think about that branding positioning, I already have a position in my mind, a drawing of you. I'd love you to go away. I'm going to give you lots of tips and tricks here. What I want you to go away, homework after today, is to go away and actually start writing down, what would our clients think of us? What do they think of us? You know, what do other people, you know, that what is that sentence? What do other people think? I think of me, I think of them, right? Who's on first, who's on second? So what I want you to do is step into the shoes of a marketplace consumer and start identifying what would they draw a picture of to look like for you. Now, that picture is going to be made up of a multitude of different components. So what areas do you need to go and step into in order to understand what they think? Well, it's the most basic model is this. First impressions count. Okay, first impressions count. Can you imagine if you guys jumped online today, right? If you guys jumped online today and when you came on, here I was, and I've got my lipstick out, and I go, hi everyone, I just won't be a sec, yeah, just gonna get myself sorted here, get my hair done. Oh, just hang on if you don't mind, I haven't had my coffee yet. Right? You've got between 7 and 27 seconds, depends on what piece of theory you read. Between 7 and 27 seconds that person is forming a first impression of you. Now, I believe that that first impression is not just about you as a human, right? That moment that I meet you or you meet me, but it's about the entire brand experience. That first impression starts for your brand the minute or the 7 seconds into that individual, that consumer seeing your brand for the very first time. Now, gosh, how many opportunities, moments, scenarios play out that we need to be aware of that include those 7 seconds, those first 7 seconds for the first time that client sees your brand. Well, let's take a look at what some of those things are, okay? Because we need to get some consistency across all of these and some awareness. First of all, it's alternative divisions, and this is in no order, okay? So I'm just going to jump them all around here. So the alternative divisions for you. So if I want you to have an interaction with me in property management, but I'm already over here dealing with sales, my first impression is not happening in PM. My first impression of your brand is happening over in sales. So what is that interaction like over in sales, and how does that then impact how they feel about property management, the picture that they're drawing, the expectations that they're setting around property management? Signboards. I'm driving down the street, I see a signboard. What does that signboard instantly, not about the property, but about your brand? What do I think, feel, expect? How do I envision your brand to react with me? What do I feel its values are? What is it about? All of those first impressions, you have them. It's innate. It's a fight or flight. We have that inbuilt into us, okay? I know that we talk about in a social context, political context, don't judge a book by its cover. The reality is everyone does. It's innate. We have to get ourselves to start thinking, obviously, behind that front cover, right? And that's a thought process and an intelligence level that we all hold. But your clients, your prospective clients, they're seeing these things. When they drive past, when they look at the front of your office, when they come up to the window, when they're peering in, when they meet a team member for the first time, what do they think of that team member? What they're seeing, what they're hearing, smell, taste, hopefully not touch, but anyway, shaking hands, perhaps fist pumps, what does that look like? When they search you, so they go online, they're doing a Google search, they search real estate agents in your area, who comes up first, and therefore what's their first impression of that marketplace? Who's the market leader? When they go on that, they're going on, they're seeing maybe the first time that they're getting an electronic mail from you. What's that first impression? When they see the electronic mail, the newsletter of sorts, the market update, what do they think? When we're working through, when we're working through the context of newsletters, it's also then when they start to read something that you've written for the first time, or something that you've shared in a blog or the newsreel that comes through. They're following you on social media. What do they see? What kind of posts? What's the imagery? What's the content that you're sharing? How often? How deep does it go inside your business? The quality of it, the language, the spelling, the punctuation, the grammar. All of these things are important factors when it comes to people's first impressions, because we don't know what their first impressions are going to be made of for you. We've got peer reviews, the people that call in the office. So, I'm reading a review for the first time. What does it tell me? I'm in your office for the first time. I hear someone, their tonality, their energy, their motivational presence. How are they interacting with me on the phone? Do they want me to call? Do I feel wanted? Is there any level of engagement there? I'm doing a social search via Facebook or Insta or LinkedIn for an individual or for the agency. Who comes up? What do I find? I sent an e-inquiry through realestate.com.au or through your own general website. What happens with that inquiry? My first impression, now it's going to be longer, some of these things from 7 to 27 seconds, of course. The physicality is 7 to 27, but I want you to be thinking about these interactions, because whether it be on the company website, whether it be third-party sites, whether it be local media, it might be an open house that they come to, and it could be even general brand advertising, print media in your local area. Whatever the interaction is that they are having with your organization, that moment, my friends, is when the growth opportunity starts or might drastically finish. Now, why would it finish? Well, I have a phone call with someone and I have a terrible experience, and the person, I feel like they're not engaged, they don't want to talk to me, I'm a bother. I meet someone in open home and I'm like, that is the most uninteresting, uneducated, poor knowledge agent I've ever met. Perhaps I'm seeing social media that sends a message to me of a type of business that's not in alignment with myself or my core values. And by the way, those values might not be better or worse or right or wrong, they're just different. So those brand interactions are important. And what we need to be doing is you have to make your online profile count. It is probably more important or as important as any of the other marketing, branding interactions that you have even physically with a client, because you won't get to that physicality with the client if those first impressions have led them to walk away. Okay, so how do you do all of this? Well, you've got to get it aligned. For years we've been talking to businesses about grabbing, elements of all of those suggestions, all of those brand moments, and even plastering them on a wall in your office, bringing them together so that when we have a congruency between when I speak to someone, when I read from someone, when I see visually, all of those elements in our marketplace, in the physical environment, in an online environment, in a voice environment, so that you can make sure that everyone and every element in your business is aligned to the same brand modeling. We must manage that regularly to ensure that that consistency is in place, the congruency is there, and the client has an aligned experience, which just promotes and bolsters that first 7 to 27 seconds. Look at you right now. Have a look at that reality. I really implore you to go off, add that to the to-do list to see what you look like right now, what you want to look like, and create that brand opportunity for improvement or adjustment or attraction even for yourself and for your team. Right now, we know this is some stats, from Hootsuite. You can see how important from a statistical and data point of view, these elements, this online space actually is, because we talked a little bit about offline there in some of those elements, but today I want to focus from here in on that online space, because we know that we've got millions and millions and millions of internet users on any device at any one time. 90% of populations have got internet. You can see the numbers of internet users just keeps growing. We can see that the number of hours that people are spending online grows. And look at this mobile device. 94.7% of internet users are accessing the net via a mobile device, which means we're doing it more regularly. It's becoming attached to us. As we know, you've probably got your phone sitting there right in front of you right now. I've been known to have the watch going, the phone going, the iPad going, and my laptop going all at the same time. And hey, team members of mine do all of that and then throw in a double or a triple screen, right? So we are constantly attached, and so are our consumers. So bringing this together means, number one, go online, and I want you to have a look at your website. Have a look at it, get a friend, family member, get an external consultant, not necessarily the web company, but a consumer or somebody that can take the space of a consumer and say, hey, what's my interaction like with your website? What do I think, feel about you when I see it? What's the culture, the values? What am I seeing around your expertise, your desirability? What do I want to know from it that I'm not getting? What is my impression of you? And of course, We've done other webinars previously that are back in the Agent Marketing Centre with some further data and instruct on how to create that ultimate website and elements to consider there. We don't have time, obviously, to go into every single component on a workshop scale today. So if you want more on what to include, jump in and have a look. And of course, there are other providers that can help you around the country with that as a specialty. But have a look at the website through the eyes of your consumer, not just whether or not you like it, not whether or not it looks pretty, but is it functional and what does it tell me about you? Then you're going to do something really simple. Google, right? We've been telling you all this for years. People are telling me this too. And what it is this is not new, but it needs to be regular. Because obviously with the algorithms of online searching, we have components where this changes on the daily, right? Where you sit in the status of your Google ranking, what is Google is looking at in terms of those algorithms change, but also what other people in your market are doing changes. Google AdWords sitting up there, making sure that the data, I've even gone in at times into our own website, the data's changed. There's been old adages there that I need to really work quickly towards to get them to be removed off the algorithms. And of course, to do that is a never-ending job as well. Social, right? So where we've talked there, Google, you know that bigger picture stuff. Let's talk social. When it comes to social, we know that this is up there in most cities around the world as being in the top 2, 3, sometimes in the top 5, but normally the top 3 search mechanisms to looking as a search engine now is in some form of social media. And of course, Facebook has been a big one of those, as you see by this image. But for today, I want to talk to you about your profiling in the 3 major players for us: Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn. Now, if you jump into the chat box or give me some hands up, right, is where we've gone up to in terms of these elements. You know, how often do you go on? Do you have a look? Do you have a social strategy? Do you have a social strategy and even a social media policy for your team members? Because if you work in a business and I search you on social, you want to know what's coming up, right? And if you haven't been in real estate for a while, or this is something that you've never looked at, I really implore you to go back and have a look, particularly your own personal profile. Whether you like it or not, like I said, 7 seconds, 27 seconds, first impressions count. When a client looks and they see your profile on social, what do they think? Facebook, what are you going to do? All right, guys, let's jump into our sections here on Facebook. So excuse me, let's keep stalling. Okay, when you go on there, what do I see in your business? You know, this an identifiable profile photo, absolutely crucial, whether it be your brand or an identifiable photo, because if I go in and I search you and there's multiple, you know, if I go, best property management, and of course that might be, this is global, right? We're not just thinking local. So what comes up and how easy is it to identify the business? How easy is it to identify an individual? Now, in terms of social content, you know, that branding, your online presence and putting your best profile forward, telling stories, right? You know, making sure that the storytelling that you want is the story you want to convey to your community. And what is it telling them? If you're putting up, let's say, for example, I saw this the other day, there was an auction at a property. I'll blame the sales team, right? It's an auction at a property and somebody's filmed the auction in the wrong angle, and it using the phone. They've uploaded it, and we actually had an auction online that was happening this way, right? Now, what does it tell me? Of course, it's a lovely story. It perhaps is a fantastic auction with awesome results, but it tells me you don't have attention to detail, you're not savvy with technology, which starts to spiral me into a knowledge, expertise, competency conversation, right? So we've got to be really mindful that it's not just what you're putting up, it's the ancillary messages that it conveys. When you're going online, you've got to be asking questions, trying to get some interaction from your audiences there, talking about trending topics. You know, be careful. For me, this is just a bugbear. I have a bit of a laugh every time that RBA makes a change and every real estate agent in the country is deciding to tell everybody about it. That's great, but perhaps it's the story behind it. It's not just repeating and regurgitating the same information that's happening in a headline, but it's your take on it. It's a story about it. It's a behind the scenes thought on what you're doing in your business in order to support your clients around that. It's random thoughts that you might have about the community, obviously popular ones, please, be careful, and getting some viral content up there. I know we've all seen funny things going on about real estate, but some of those are getting really good viral content in their areas and really promoting that brand in the brand aligned context, demonstrating how people can use your products and services, putting it into motion. We're talking about things like rental information, purchasing information, selling information, being a part of the local community via storytelling. But all of this, like everything we're talking about in brand, has to be consistent. Because when I'm seeing your brand, I'm wanting to see not the consistent message, but the messaging behind it, right? The methodology behind it, the backbone of it, the values, the purpose, the personality, the culture of your business. I want to feel that in that social storytelling that you've got. When we come to Instagram, similar, right? We want recognizable profiles. In Insta, we know we can be a little bit more creative, and in that creativity and the imagery, and of course, not just photos, but video, we're looking at a very visual storytelling scenario. So attempting to work through, or not attempting to, but creating story through visuals, as opposed to in your Facebook strategies, which is more of a storytelling, and even with the written word, of course, you can do bio link trees, you can do blogs and vlogs that people can link through to in your Instagram pages. I know that. You've got tags and mentions and bringing like-minded groups together through information sharing. We've got obviously go lives in both social spaces, and we know there's some crossover there, of course, with the collaboration across those two platforms. And some businesses are even using their Instagram and their socials to get some, go first to know, some exclusivity there. Why would I want to follow you? What do I need to be aware of? What are you going to share with me? Really getting them that call to action and that necessity to be a part of your community. We know that not everybody loves Instagram, not everybody loves Facebook, but the majority of the population are actually on those social media platforms. It's become a world of its own. Look at Elon Musk buying out Twitter recently. The social space is absolutely crucial. When we go over to LinkedIn, we start to go into more of a formal business space for social. Many of you would be aware of that. So really go back now though. In fact, this has just prompted me, we'd be up for a review of ours right now, is the LinkedIn company pages, your own personal pages. Is everybody aligned? Do you have all of your team members connected in to your LinkedIn pages? Setting some goals around what you want to achieve on LinkedIn, whether that be around, the interactions that you want to have, the people that are collaborating with you through your blogging, through commentary, sharing and publishing of not just your own content, but other reposting and resharing of other interesting content with your own spin and your own commentary on that particular outcome or vlog or blog that you've found and seen, because you really want a mixture of these mediums in your LinkedIn. We know that it's not just a visual space like Insta, or visual and some wording like Facebook. You've got there's far more depth and rich content that you're finding on LinkedIn, and being able to gain and interact with those contacts is going to be around creating that next level of knowledge delivery in that more formalized format that's going to get these type of clientele and this type of social space interacting with you. But what do you need to do to go straight to them, right? To go straight to the properties, because we've talked about your website, we've talked about Google, we've now got into those three core social spaces. But you know what? We're on realestate.com.au today, and it would be wrong of me not to talk about the volume of clients where I want you to be able to go straight to, get straight in the face of landlords who are looking right now, okay? We know that for this portal that they have, realestate.com.au right now has 3.4 times more visited site than any of its closest competitors, okay? That's 3.4 more visits than their competitors. We know that there is 1.94 million potential landlords and vendors visiting this site every day. Now you're already on it, okay? That's why you're here. I'm not selling you to go on realestate.com.au today. What I'm talking about is we know clients come here. We know that overall there's over 23.1 million visits to this site per month, right? That 90% of clients, boom, in their hand. They're on there, I'm on there, you're on there. We're all searching every day, week, month, year. We know that 42% more than landlords search online for rentals. And we know that more than 38% of landlords search similar listings to theirs on realestate.com.au. You've probably done those things yourself. What I want to make sure is that as your clients, your prospective clients, are online searching on realestate.com.au, I want to make sure that you are making your profile count. I have spent a lot of time with my clients going through various elements of their profiles across all of these platforms. And I often find that this one is up there with some of the forgotten areas that they're not updating regularly enough. So I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks that I want you to go in and do. Please reach out to your account manager if you need some help with this. With the volume of traffic coming through, it's vital that you get actioned on this straight away. If you haven't had a play around on realestate.com.au lately, you might not be aware that, so I'm just seeing some comments come through, that you might not be aware that now when one of your clients goes in, you'll see here at the bottom of my screen, find a property manager. So we've now got this spaces, we're trying to get to content to landlords, we're working hard to make sure that landlords are able to find you, okay, as property managers, not just the sales team. So with this in mind, you're jumping, I'm going to give you some quick images here so you can see what I'm talking about in developing your profile. A client goes on, they're putting the location in, and as they're putting the location in, you can see up here in that top region, up they go, property manager search, please. Let's put them in. We put your space in. I've just thrown Brisbane up here for reference, but I'm going to show you a whole range of different locations today. They pop up Brisbane, in it goes, we search, and up comes the list. This is the Manly list in New South Wales. Up comes the list, and we can sort by various means, but most importantly, they click on that profile and they jump in and they see your business. When I jump in and I see your business, what do I see? When I jump onto your website, what do I see? When I jump into your social pages, when I do a Google search, when I do a realestate.com.au search, what do I see? Now, the beauty of this is all of this, guys, when you're doing your profilings, like everything else, like your web, like Google, like social media, it's all malleable. So you can go in and see where all my ticks are on here, all the little pen marks. You can change your logos, your background images. Of course, your property is there. You can change your story about your office, click through to your agency website. All of that is adjustable. And guess what? Maybe you're not just adjusting it once. You know, you can see here Blue Edge. They've got a beautiful photo of their team behind them there. Well, of course, if one team member leaves, we need to put a new photo in there. We need to update these things regularly because we know that the internet is not static and we want to make sure that we have constant improvement. You know, not only are you going to then create your business profile, I want you to be creating your personal profile on here too, okay? So you'll see this is just an example. Pippin and Hall is our generic example. We've got the agent there, the property manager, the new business manager, and we're going on and we're creating a profile for that person. Now, I've done something for you here and I've grabbed a live one, okay? So this is Adam Freitas. Shout out to Adam if he's watching. He doesn't know I'm doing this today. Adam Freitas, I jumped in, I had a look at his profile. He's a BDM in Sydney and an award-winning BDM, and you can see why, right? You jump in, you see Adam's profile. He's got all the locations of the properties that he's got available at the moment. It's got the adjunct listings that he has available. And then he's updated all of this, right? You've got some information about Adam. He's got his specialties. There's a video by him. He's got his awards. Guys, this is like a mini micro site. Now, if Adam's doing this, what are you doing? What's happening in your market, in your area? Because just like a landlord is having a first impression of you via the properties you have, via your website, via Google search, via social, via your rental listings on realestate.com.au, they're also now starting to click through and they want to find out about you. And this is a great space for them to do it because that's collectively where agents are. So, tool for today, get out, get on your to-do list, speak to your account manager if you need to, but I want everybody's profiles updated because clients are looking at these and we have to be very careful because what they see, 7 to 27 seconds, is what they believe. It's what they believe. Now, actually, you know what I might do? I might even click through here. I think I can click through here. Yeah, I can. So can you guys see my page there? No, you can't. I'm going to show you that right now. Okay, so this is Adam's page live, okay? Now, I'm not going to just click on anyone's because I don't, if somebody's hasn't updated theirs yet, I don't want to embarrass them. But this is what you can do to get your pages looking nice, clean, sharp, and beautiful, okay? And that's what I want everybody to be doing as they jump off today. Let's get that done. But you've got your listings online, you've got your profile up and running. That first impression has led the client to send you an inquiry, or perhaps you've been prospecting and they've already been checking you out, so they already know. Write this one down. The client needs to know you, like you, and trust you before they'll use you. So if I'm seeing you online and I'm seeing congruency between knowing you in all the different spaces, offline and online, I'm starting to like what I see. You then call me because we've had an interaction, an inquiry, perhaps I'm in your database from I've been to an open house, and I start to talk to you, which means I'm starting to like you. In the likability phase, you start to send me things. I'm getting market updates from you. You're thinking of me while you're out and about, shooting me some relevant data info. I'm seeing a blog that you've written on LinkedIn that I follow. I've been seeing some behind the scenes in your social that starts to paint a picture to me that I can trust you because you are being consistent. Write that down, consistency. Consistency is everything. I've moved know, like, I'm starting to trust you. Now, when I start to trust you, I only invite people into my home, into my property, into that 1.3 investment properties. I only invite you in if I know you, like you, and I think, or I'm beginning to trust you. So I bring you in and I move into the preparing phase. Because when I start to invite you into my home, us as agents, we have to go into preparation because when we get to that home, all those elements that they've seen about us, it's now showtime. And we want to make sure that we're stepping up and we're stepping in with the appropriate information. So guys, one of the most important things that you're going to have is, of course, industry knowledge. You want to know the ins and outs of everything to do with property management. So you get asked a robust question, you've got the answer, you're doing it from a place of authenticity, love and care, transparency. But also what you really need to know is the market. What's going on in your market? I want you to be up to date. So if you don't already have, which you should all have, a realestate.com.au auto alert for your marketplace. Get this in place immediately. Property manager, leasing, new business, business owner. You've got to know what's happening in renting day by day. So get that information coming through. But of course, before you're going out to a property, you're going to go online and do a CMA. Now, the beauty of realestate.com.au is, of course, if you're using it and you're logging into the back and you're having a look at Ignite, you can see the comparable properties that are available through that Ignite platform, and it'll show you what's happening. You can obviously collate and grab that data out through the various formats available. Again, your account manager can run you through that. But we need to be doing CMAs before we even walk in. So like I said to you right at the beginning, let's not make doing business harder. Let's make doing business easier and go straight to the source, right? So in that preparation phase, we're going in, we're collating the data. Now, when we've got our CMA ready, and by the way, guys, you've got a whole range of digital formats then that you can use in order to create a beautiful bespoke CMA for that property. One of the things that I love about the internet, and I go back 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and particularly 30 years ago when I was just starting out in real estate. I know, thank you. And so when I was going back then, and I think about what we had to do, if I wanted, I remember driving to properties and taking photos of the front of the property and trying to get that image back out through the Kodak Photo Center to try and put together these personalized proposals with photos on the front. It's just a light years away. You don't need to leave your desk, to be able to do presentations and things now. It's all there, and we can send it to the client digitally, but make it count. Make it professional, make it consistent, make sure it's brand aligned with you, that it's got all the elements that a client would be expecting from you. It's got knowledge, it's got data. You're showing them, I know the market because I can get a CMA done for you before I've even stepped in the door. Right? You've got that. Now, obviously, you're going to decide whether you send that out to them before or you take it with you. I'm not going to go through the entire listing presentation phase today. Of course, that's a whole other webinar. But making sure that you're pulling that data together so you actually know what you're talking about before you get there and before you go into presentation stage. Now, in presenting, guys, I was with a client even yesterday, not yesterday, 2 days ago, and we were talking about paper. As I stand here in front of this bookshop, right? Paper has a place, but it also has a bin, right? And you've got to decide based on your business what the format is. Now, we know that we're moving to digital presentations because we're, from a sustainability point of view, from the environmental, obviously an environmental impact perspective. And we're starting to see that more and more of our clients are becoming more aware, particularly as our kids start telling us to be more aware of what the environmental impact is with paper that we're utilising. So, I'm saying to you, not only does it help our environment, but it also is perhaps a little more congruent with our technology, with our modern approach, with our online presence, to be doing things online. Now, I know in property management particularly, and hashtag COVID, we've gone even further ahead with our digital impact. And so we've been doing online presentations. We've been doing video presentations, like literally pre-recorded presentations to clients. Client says, hey, send me your party pack. And instead of just sending them over a digital kit, we're doing bespoke video work, be that in an office, be that out in front of the property, be that on site, be that doing a live walkthrough with the client while they're in Dubai and we're in Sydney and we're walking through a property that they're potentially going to purchase or they already own and is vacant. And we're trying to bring to life the context of the physical appointment, the physical presentation. We're trying to bring together that physical presentation into an online world. So how are you going to create and how are you going to bridge the gap between the offline presentation, right, that face-to-face, belly-to-belly, and then bringing that into an online space? So can you do that by suggesting to the client video hookups? I've got one of my clients right now, and pretty much every time he rings me, he's FaceTiming me. It's become a thing for him now where he doesn't call people, he FaceTimes them. Now, I'm not suggesting that everybody wants to receive a FaceTime call all the time, but it's just becoming in the preparation phase, in the presenting phase. It's about how can I digitally get you to see me? How can I get you to get a first impression that I am different to the other 3 agents who have just sent you their PDF party pack, their just an email that has got, you know, just a bit of an intro, the fees on there and a sign off for you to meet them. How can I change that up? Well, yes, like I said, you can do a video presentation, you can personalize it, you can jump in front of a live with them, you can FaceTime them, and of course we can send them a digital pack which allows us, and let me just show you here, right? Like this is even the one through realestate.com.au has affiliation, of course, there with Pitch. And you can now use Pitch in order to create a digital pack. Now, whether or not you're creating this inside your own website, or of course you're using this product, but it's about being able to create, modify, curate a personalized digital presentation. We know that technology is so simple. If you're able to pivot, if you're at the leading edge, perhaps you need to have a look at what that is going to look like in your presentation. And no doubt that there's somebody that can take you through this from realestate.com.au, perhaps that account manager, when they're showing you how to curate your agent profile as well. But what we want to be doing is we want to be making sure that, and I just realized you're not looking at this while I'm screaming through it for you, there we go, I'll take you back down as we're talking. So what you're doing here is you're using these online formats in order to make sure that it's personalized for your client, but they're able to feel, to experience in that first impression, particularly if they're not meeting with you face to face. If you don't get that visual connection, this is creating another way to demonstrate who you are, what you're about, and what they can expect through doing business with you, moving you through to that next phase of getting closer and getting together with them to move into the final stages, which we're going to convert the client. So again, they can see that, make sure that whatever format you're using, that they're able to access it via their phone or tablet, smart device, that it is coming out, that it has been, I've forgotten the technical term for it now, but the screen adjusts, right? So that they're not having to move it around and it's looking ugly and different because it's coming through in a different format or in a different sized device. That's it, it resizes. And then what we're going to do is we've gone through that presentation, we've sent them out all of the relevant information, they've got the data, you've done a video presentation for them, we've curated all the reasons why that we're going to be of benefit to them, they have felt it, they've experienced it, and they've done that, guys, since the moment they did a real estate Google search for you in your area. They jumped on realestate.com.au. They did a social search for property management. They read a blog or a vlog on your LinkedIn profile. They drove past a signboard. They rang your office. They inquired. They were in your database. You nurtured them through the process. You've sent them the proposal. You've done a video presentation or a face-to-face. And throughout this whole thing, you have been one thing: consistent. And you have consistently identified how you will benefit that client and how you will provide them with their level of value, what they perceive as value. Because then what you're going to do is you're in a position, know, like, trust, that they're wanting to move into, use. And when we go to use, we're not pulling out the piece of paper because that is not aligned with everything that they have experienced thus far. What we are doing is we are grabbing a digital signature on a digital managing agency agreement. Now, when we've got everything digital, that creates more efficiencies for us in that back end, which we spoke to last time we met. Back in our office with our PM team, we're taking this digital data and we are working through them with our software programs, saving digitally, uploading digitally, integrating digitally into our software to kickstart the rest of that consistent process. Guys, if you can move your client quickly through know you, like you, trust you, and use you, you'll get the signature. You've conveyed value. Negotiations on fees are limited. Value is maximized. The client knows what they're getting themselves in for. You've displayed difference. You've displayed benefit, and you have just made doing business easier. It's been awesome being with you today. I know we've had some questions come through into the chat room. I'm going to answer those now. Before I do, if you're wanting to get in touch with me with any particular direct questions or information after today's session, here is that data right now that you can log and gain. I better go and check my Instagram, LinkedIn and Facebook again. But you'll see here all that info. It's a never-ending scenario of progress, of change, of review, of updating, because the online space is ever changing. Let's jump into that Q&A now, guys, and see what we've got. All right, over here, let me see. Okay, thanks, Dylan. I hope that helped you today. I'm just going to jump back up and go through some of these questions. Online presence, that was Dylan. My moderators, if you've got any questions that you've identified coming through, if you wouldn't mind jumping those up into here for me as well. Okay. This recording, the webinar recording, will be available in the Agent Marketing Centre. So if there is anything that we talked about that you wanted to review, look back over a slide that you wanted to see, just jump over there into the Agent Marketing Centre. And of course, the session that was recorded previously on the efficiencies, that is also over in the Agent Marketing Centre as well that you can get. I've got a question here. Where do you locate the comparable properties? What I'll do there is, again, if you reach out to your account manager, they'll be able to navigate you through, give you a demonstration of obviously the Ignite system, make sure that you're aware of all of the features and functionality that are both in Ignite and in Connect, and see what things would be of value to you in your business that you might want to implement and use there as well. Okay, I've got a question here. I'd like to know how you think technology can help growth. Wow, that is a very complex question. So it sounds simple, but it's actually quite complex. Let me try and answer it as briefly as I can. Technology can assist growth by a number of ways. One thing that we all crave constantly is time. So technology, through the use and implementation of effective technology to create efficiencies in our business, so in other words, to get things done quicker, let's say Thermomix versus KitchenAid versus hand beater, when we do things quicker, we create more time, and therefore time can be used for other things. So when we have time to to speak with clients because we have got automated email communication going out, or we have created time to be able to automatically manage the data within our systems to curate and create today's daily call list, I therefore don't have the time requirements of going off and trying to find someone to call. That information is already coming through to me in my daily call list. So by creating the efficiencies in the background and developing the strategy by which to give me data to automate all my day and my process, I'm going to have time by which to get belly to belly, face to face, visual to visual, phone to phone with prospective clients. So I think that's your first thing. Your second thing is that there is a whole range of functions in growth that we would have previously performed that would have taken longer, like the preparation of a pre-listing kit, packaging it up, printing it out, personalizing it, sending it, dropping it off, all of those things where we can create a far more personalized pack in a digital format, instant delivery, quicker response times. So again, that speed assists with growth because we have more time, we have direct delivery, and we can curate and personalize content at the click of a button. I think thirdly, technology, because of the speed in which we can make changes, we can be at the forefront of the evolution of opportunities and information and competency. And so with all of that, then we can get to our clients quicker. Our clients can get data from us without even having to speak with us. And so that allows us to have even though it feels like it's a less connected scenario because we're used to, I don't want to give them anything until I've got everything from them, by putting ourselves forward first and by allowing the client to experience us without having to call us. It's like booking a holiday or a restaurant, right? We're looking at all of those things first. You're not going into the restaurant, you're not calling the restaurant to find out about them, you're finding out about them through all of those other means. We are no different to that, right? So we have to use all of this information to be able to cast a wider net, get that net up over the top of the tree, to shake the fruit and to say to the fruit that doesn't want to be in our hands straight away, but to say then, hey, this is who we are, this is what we're about, this is what you can expect from us, experience us already at the top, and then make your way down, and it'll make that end conversion easier. I think I could spend a whole day just talking about that growth. Let me know if that was okay. Okay, here we go. A few more questions here. All right, I think that might be it for today. All right, awesome, guys. Thank you so much for being with me. If you've got any last minute questions, please jump them in the box. Otherwise, there's a customer poll that we just have uploaded there. If you wouldn't mind jumping in there and giving us a little bit of feedback about today. Of course, if you'd like some more information, please reach out directly to your account manager. Head on over into the Agent Marketing Centre where you'll be able to watch this webinar and, of course, the first webinar from this series, all about creating efficiencies, particularly through that tenancy application and tenancy servicing process. As always, realestate.com.au, so grateful for you putting your attendance here today and investing this time in your future and in growth. On behalf of myself, Fiona Blayney, thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you very, very soon. Have an awesome day.